Right now in Sunrise, parts of central Indiana this morning in recovery mode after a radar indicated a tornado damaged parts of Bloomington. This is a look at some of the damage, some roofs and siding ripped off. No reports of any injuries.
And take a look at these pictures of what's left behind of this Fifth Third Bank in Bloomington. At one point, there were more than 2,000 Duke Energy customers without power. That number is now around 50. As conditions are calm today, officials are asking people to remain cautious and report any storm damage. But the concern yesterday with that alert day was that those storms would hit us.
Yeah, we got lucky because it stayed up more north.
And that was a possibility. They might just clip parts of our Indiana counties, but they stayed just barely to the north. So yes, by and large, we escaped the worst of the storms yesterday. Now it's all about the cooler air and the wind. Get you outside live to New Albany on our SkyTrack camera this morning. Those flags have been sticking basically straight out from the west all morning long. And those temperatures continue to drop. We're at 55 here in Louisville with a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust. Last check at Allen International, 20-mile-an-hour gusts in Jeffersonville, 22 miles an hour in Salem, 29 miles per hour are those wind gusts in Paoli at the moment. You see that cooler air slowly but surely filtering in. We're at 45 in Bedford, Paoli, and Jasper. Again, 55 here in the city. We'll all likely bottom out in the mid-40s. We get closer to 9 or 10 o'clock this morning with those gusts staying in that 25 to 35 mile an hour ballpark all day. We'll talk more about a cold setup for the weekend in just a few minutes. Right now it's 7:01. We'll get you out to our traffic map. It's been quiet all morning long, clean and green. Traffic, of course, picking up as everybody starts to head out the door, but no accidents to report at this time. Drive times on I-65 coming in from Bullitt County looking good, but we'll keep an eye on those roads throughout the morning rush.
Thank you. A woman is using her story to warn others about the dangers of using rideshare apps because she says one of those drivers assaulted her.
The suspect has since been arrested, but the lawyer representing the victim fears there are more people with similar experiences. Wave News reporter Marissa Burke live outside of LMDC this morning with more on the case. Marissa.
34-year-old Yodan Diaz-Vera was arrested on February 5th for what the victim's lawyer calls a bold and brazen assault. Investigators say the victim was trying to use the rideshare app Lyft to get to a doctor's appointment. The ride seemed normal until the driver, Yodan Diaz-Vera, opened the glove box, revealing a gun inside. An arrest report says he pulled over, grabbed the gun, got in the back seat, and forced the passenger to perform a sexual act. Afterwards, he took the victim to her appointment. The lawyer representing the victim says because the driver did this so publicly and bold, it will take her client a while to heal.
She is deeply, deeply traumatized. She is terrified. She's terrified to be in public. She does not want to be alone. She's really struggling and really suffering. And that is the reality of what happened to her.
Diaz-Vera is facing kidnapping and menacing charges. Bond has been set at $100,000 cash, HIP if posted. Now, this arrest comes after federal judges in Northern California combined 17 sexual assault cases against Lyft. They claim that Lyft did not screen drivers properly or adopt safety measures like having cameras inside the cars. Reporting live outside of LMDC, Marissa Burke, Wave News.
Thank you. This morning, police are looking for a killer after a man was shot in the Camp Taylor neighborhood. Police say it happened on Belmar Drive around 7:30 last night near the elementary school. Investigators say the man was shot multiple times and died. His name has not been released. Police have not released anything about a motive or suspect.
New this morning, the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority has set a hearing to review what it says is unpaid fees by Churchill Downs. A notice of the March 11th hearing claims Churchill Downs did not pay any HISA fees last year. The notice claims Churchill owes more than $6.3 million plus interest. In December 2024, Churchill Downs filed a lawsuit claiming HISA is overcharging fees and the way the agency calculates its fees is illegal. HISA claims even if it used a formula suggested by Churchill, it would still owe the agency more than $2.4 million. HISA says other tracks owned by Churchill Downs, like Turfway Park and Ellis Park, have also not paid their 2025 fees. We reached out to Churchill Downs for a comment on the hearing, and we're waiting to hear back.
Closing arguments are expected to start this morning in the trial for a man accused of killing 18-year-old Bryce Gerlach in the 2024 Harvest Homecoming shooting. Gerlach was an innocent bystander. Isaiah Page's defense attorneys rested their case yesterday. Page's lawyers called 2 New Albany police officers to testify about a possible suspect police initially identified but was later ruled out and not charged. A detective said she interviewed the man 3 times over the course of the investigation, and he brought up nearly every co-defendant except Page. During the prosecution's cross-examination, the detective testified to getting inconsistent information during the interviews. The closing arguments are expected to start this morning at 8:30.
The Kentucky Nurses Association says it's concerned for the safety of medical workers following a shooting at a St. Matthew's hospital. Police say a patient, Mystic Rain, fired 4 shots from her hospital bed inside Baptist East. No one at the hospital was hurt. She now faces charges and remains hospitalized. KNA calls the incident an extreme example of a dangerous and growing trend. A recent nationwide survey found more than 80% of nurses experienced some type of workplace violence in the past year, ranging from verbal threats to physical attacks. Nurse Nikki Wright says the danger is pushing nurses out of the field, creating a shortage in care.
If we're harmed, we can't show up to do our job. We have to be safe. We have to feel safe.
The KNA is now working with state lawmakers on legislation to increase protections for nurses, saying when nurses are safe, patients are too.
A group of former residents are now suing the managers of a Nulu apartment building 2 years after it burnt down. The 310 at Nulu Apartments fire destroyed 37 units and led to the building needing to be demolished. A group of former residents are suing the property managers, 310 Nulu Partners, and Buckingham Management LLC for negligence and breach of contract. They claim management failed to take care of the building's inspections, maintenance, repair, and operation, as well as failing to prevent and contain the fire. Investigators highlighted the building had an automatic extinguishing system that did not go off during the fire. We reached out to Metro Arson about the cause, and a statement from the chief arson investigator said the cause was undetermined, that we were never allowed to go inside to do a scene examination due to it being unsafe. Former residents are asking for a jury trial as well as payment for damages and attorney fees. A hearing date has not been set.
The 2026 tax filing season continues. As you gather all your income tax forms and prepare to file, experts have some things you'll want to know. That includes new tax law provisions that come with the passage of the federal spending bill. Experts say, to an extent, there is no tax on tips and no tax on overtime premium. They've also upped the child tax credit by $200, which is helping a lot of people. Something that may not help people, though, is having certain types of student loan forgiveness.
It's going to be treated like you got a credit card canceled. I'm assuming they're going to issue people a form, and that will very negatively impact people, because you don't think, when your debt gets canceled, that's going to be tacked onto your income.
She says if this does come to be, it will not have an impact on the 2025 season. According to the IRS, they expect to receive about $164 million in individual income tax returns this year, with most taxpayers filing electronically. The deadline to file is April 15th.
And still to come, dozens of world leaders met in Washington, D.C. for President Trump's Peace Board.
What the board looks to focus on and which U.S. allies were absent.
The Chicago Bears could be one step closer to moving to Indiana.
Indiana House Speaker Todd Huston announced the NFL team is very interested in a stadium in northwestern Indiana. State leaders are working to establish a framework to build a new stadium for the Bears in Hammond. Senate Bill 27 would establish the Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority. Leaders from the Hoosier State outlined some details, including plans for infrastructure and local taxes. Lawmakers believe they're ready to welcome the Bears to Indiana.
Hammond is uniquely positioned for this moment. We're part of the Chicagoland region. We're only 20 minutes from Soldier Field by car. In the region, we watch Chicago television. We listen to Chicago radio. We root for Chicago teams, especially the Bears.
The legislation unanimously passed a committee vote Thursday morning. During the hearing, officials said the Bears were committed to contributing $2 billion towards the stadium project. However, the team hasn't officially announced a move. Meanwhile, the Super Bowl champs, the Seattle Seahawks, are looking for a new owner. Late Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen bought the team nearly 30 years ago, but his estate is now moving forward with a formal sale to comply with his final wishes. Since his death in 2018, the team has been held in a trust overseen by his sister. Industry analysts say the Seahawks, who just secured their second title in franchise history, could catch a record price tag. The sale process is expected to continue through the offseason, but I know I will not be putting in a bid for the team. Can't afford that.
Well, I looked it up and it's estimated it could go between $7 and $11 billion. A lot of money. A lot of money, Carson.
A lot of money that I don't have. And
Right.
No, I mean, I'm sure his estate, his family will really benefit from however much they sell that for.
No doubt about that. Can't believe we're still talking about football 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, right? It never ends. Let's get you outside this morning, shall we? Kind of feels like football weather out there. Thanks to that wind, a cool wind at that. Flags blowing in the wind in New Albany. We've had gusts all morning, upwards of 30, 35 miles an hour, and we'll keep that trend going throughout much of the day today. Temperatures are still dropping. We're at 55 here in Louisville, but I do expect us to fall into the 40s as we get closer to midday. Let's say 10 or 11 a.m. That cold front that brought us the severe storms last night, they are now sliding eastward. The front sliding eastward, so too are the showers and storms with it. So now it's all about clearing skies, yes, but cooler temperatures and that blustery feel. That'll be sticking around all day. So we'll bottom out in the 40s here in a couple of hours and only recover to near 50 later on today. I've got a high of 51 here in Louisville this afternoon, but some of you could very well be stuck in the 40s all day. Heading into the weekend, the colder trend rolls on. 47 tomorrow. A lot of clouds throughout the day on Saturday, and there will be opportunities from time to time for sprinkles or flurries, especially early tomorrow morning around this time. There could be a few sprinkles or flakes south of Louisville. It won't amount to anything, but we'll carry that 20% chance tomorrow just in case. Sunday features not only even colder temperatures with a high of 35, but it will also feature snow showers, a bit of a snow globe day on Sunday. That's our next big weather maker that we're keeping an eye on. Notice these snow showers are going to be with us for most of the day Sunday, 4 a.m. to 6 p.m., the general time frame. Now, it's not going to snow every single second in that 12 to 14-hour window, but during that time frame, there will be some passing light snow showers, maybe enough, in fact, to give us a little bit of a coating on the grass or on elevated surfaces. But what's working in our favor is those temperatures, at least through the day on Sunday, will be near or perhaps just above freezing. That, combined with the warm ground from how warm we've been lately, should keep the roads just wet. So no travel issues expected at this point, but you still see here on Futurecast, those snow showers will be light, but pretty widespread. That snow globe effect we talked about, that'll be with us for most of the day Sunday. We get into Sunday evening, and those flurries and snow showers will fade away. So winter is not done yet. 10-day earliest alert shows a cold start to the work week on Monday, but we'll recover back into the 40s and 50s as we get towards the middle part of next week.
Thank you. Hollywood is mourning the loss of actor Eric Dane.
He died Thursday following a battle with ALS. Dane was 53 years old. A statement from his publicist says he spent his final days surrounded by family and friends. Dane was best known for his roles on Grey's Anatomy and Euphoria. His death comes less than a year after he announced his ALS diagnosis. He went on to advocate for those who have progressive neurodegenerative disease. Dane is survived by his wife, Rebecca Gayhart, and their 2 daughters.
As the search for Nancy Guthrie continues, continues into its 20th day now. Federal and local authorities are still chasing down leads. The FBI says it's received more than 19,000 tips related to the case since Nancy Guthrie disappeared from her Tucson, Arizona home on January 31st. Earlier this week, officials said DNA recovered from a glove found about 2 miles from Nancy's home did not match samples found in a database, nor did it match the DNA found on her property. Authorities are now turning to genetic genealogy to analyze the DNA found at Guthrie's home. Genetic genealogy has previously identified other high-profile criminals like the Golden State Killer and University of Idaho murderer Brian Kohberger. The FBI and Tucson Crime Stoppers are both offering rewards for information leading to the location of Guthrie or an arrest.
Britain's King Charles says the law must take its course after the arrest of his younger brother, the former Prince Andrew. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was arrested Thursday morning on suspicion of misconduct in public office. It comes after the U.S. Department of Justice released documents detailing the former prince's ties to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The Thames Valley Police previously said it was assessing whether Andrew shared confidential material with Epstein during his time as a UK trade envoy. The former prince has denied all accusations against him and has not commented on the most recent allegations of misconduct in public office. President Trump commented on the arrest Thursday, saying he's, quote, an expert because he's been exonerated.
So I think it's a very sad thing. It's really interesting because nobody used to speak about Epstein when he was alive, but now they speak. But I'm the one that can talk about it because I've been totally exonerated. I did nothing. In fact, the opposite.
Some lawmakers on Capitol Hill and Epstein victims are calling for similar accountability here in the U.S. One of those lawmakers is Kentucky Representative Thomas Massie.
President Donald Trump's Board of Peace convened for its inaugural meeting Thursday. Representatives of at least 40 countries attended the event in Washington, D.C. Major European allies like the United Kingdom, Germany, and France declined to join the group. The board's key focus is expected to be the future of Gaza in the wake of the war between Israel and Hamas. In his remarks, President Trump touched on other possible peace deals, including in Iran.
As you know, Iran is a hot spot right now, and they're meeting, and they have a good relationship with the representatives of Iran, and, you know, good talks are being had. It's proven to be, over the years, not easy to make a meaningful deal with Iran. We have to make a meaningful deal, otherwise bad things happen.
President Trump also announced the U.S. will contribute $10 billion to the Board of Peace. And sources in the White House say the U.S. could be ready to strike Iran as soon as this weekend. Top administration national security officials reportedly met Wednesday in the White House Situation Room to discuss possible military action there. Air and naval assets have been building up in the Middle East in recent days. President Trump has hinted at a desire for a regime change and has insisted Iran not obtain a nuclear weapon, but the president says he has extended his timeline for a concrete decision.
In a Truth Social post Thursday, President Donald Trump says he plans to release government files related to UFOs. The president wants files on extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, and all information connected to UFOs made public. The announcement comes after former President Barack Obama appeared to confirm on a podcast last weekend that aliens do exist. President Trump then accused Obama of revealing classified information on aliens. However, Obama cleared up his comments on social media, saying he was referring to the likelihood of life on other planets.
We will see what happens. Well, Kentucky Kingdom adding a new attraction that they hope will make you scream.
Hear about the $14 million coaster after the break.
February is American Heart Month. If someone has a cardiac arrest outside of a hospital, their chance of surviving is just 10%. I spoke with a man who was in that 10%. Chris Smith was taken to the hospital after having a cardiac arrest. He collapsed at the end of his driveway. Fortunately, a nursing student was driving by, saw him and called his mother, who's a nurse, and then a woman walking her dog stopped, and she's a nurse too. They did CPR on him until the ambulance got there. He says friends did not think he would survive.
The doctors were telling them he's not leaving the hospital. My kids said repeatedly, Dad's just resting. He's going to wake up. If you're an employer or you're in a group or you have youth sports, learn CPR. Learn how to use an AED. And the American Heart Association is here. They will do hand-to-hand training, and they will get the tools in your hands so that you could do those things.
The father of two is back at work now at Ware Construction. He volunteers with Hard Hats with Heart through the Heart Association, which educates construction workers about heart health. There he is giving a check to the American Heart Association. Smith is also going to be at the upcoming Heart Ball February 28th, which Wave News is a sponsor of. We'll have the full interview for you coming up in the next half hour.
As the Kentucky weather warms up, Kentucky Kingdom is preparing for takeoff for a new season, and this time with a brand new roller coaster. The Flying Fox is the park's newest coaster. That's the first one they've had since 2019. Officials showed off work on the installation and construction of the new attraction on Thursday. The $14 million coaster will be 6 stories tall with more than 1,300 feet of track and will reach a top speed of 37 miles per hour. Park leaders say it's almost ready to open.
So we started around the winter time last year with the footers. So there were over 100 footers that we put in during the winter. And so now you're starting to see the track getting added. And so they're building it in the direction that the coaster path will go. So right now they're at the loading station, working their way up to the lift hill, and that will continue on to spring.
The Flying Fox is scheduled to open sometime this spring. Kentucky Kingdom's opening day is set for May 9th.
A new location of the New Albany restaurant, The Exchange, will be opening inside Hotel Genevieve in Nulu this spring. They're going to call it The Exchange in Nulu. It'll be the latest dining option in that area. It'll take over the space formerly occupied by Birdies. They say they're going to partner with local design firm Maddox and Rose to bring the vision for the new space to life. And we'll be right back.
This Wave News Update is sponsored by Oxmoor Auto Group.
Good morning. I'm Shannon Kogan. Closing arguments are expected to start this morning in the trial of Isaiah Page. Prosecutors say he shot and killed 18-year-old Bryce Gerlach at the 2024 Harvest Homecoming Festival. Gerlach was an innocent bystander. Prosecutors say Page shot Gerlach during a fight between multiple groups. Page's lawyers say they can't prove it was Page's bullet that hit Gerlach. Closing arguments are expected to resume at 8:30 this morning. Let's go over to Carson and get ready for a windy Friday.
Indeed, you see a nice sunrise getting underway also. So as we go through your Friday, it will be cooler, it will be blustery, but we'll have a good bit of sunshine to enjoy. There are some clouds still holding on, especially south of Louisville. Those will break up as we go through this morning. Temperature still dropping into the 40s in southern Indiana. We're at 55 here in Louisville. I do expect most of us to bottom out in the 40s over the next couple of hours. You'll notice over the next 12 hours, we won't recover much. 51 our afternoon high temperature with those gusts upwards of 25 to 35 miles per hour for this Friday. That's the forecast. We wrap up the work week. Let's get a check of the roads, and you'll notice a couple of minor trouble spots popping up, one of which was just cleared. You see in downtown I-64 westbound near I-65, there was a fender bender, but that has just been cleared in the last few minutes. However, a new disabled vehicle has just popped up on 65 northbound as you approach the Watterson. Most of our metro traffic cameras are in good shape, however. Speed's a little bit slow on 64 in the east end out there near Blake and Baker, 45 miles an hour. Otherwise, we're looking good. Drive times coming in from Oldham County on I-71, also in good shape. About 10 minutes from LaGrange to the Snyder, another 10 minutes to get you from the Snyder downtown into the junction. Buckle up, stay safe, and we'll have an updated forecast and traffic update in about 30 minutes. Make it a great Friday.
Good morning. Happy Friday. Hope you have had a great week. We had some pretty great weather other than yesterday, of course, but everything looks to be pretty decent for the weekend, at least no crazy storms rolling in. But what a swing we have coming, the chance for some snow out there. How interesting. Well, we have plenty to get to this morning. Of course, we've got to talk about the Olympics. This will be our last chance to really go over some of the Olympics progress that's being made over in Italy. They have the closing ceremonies set for Sunday and some exciting action that happened in Italy yesterday, especially for Team USA. Plus, we will talk about February being Heart Month. So Shannon Kogan has an interview with a man who said CPR saved his life. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. But first, LMPD is making progress at a major drug operation after 3 arrests led to cocaine being taken off the streets. Police didn't name the 3 people arrested. They say it started as a traffic stop when officers found multiple individually packaged baggies of cocaine in a car in West Louisville. Investigators say that led to search warrants at 3 homes where officers found 2.5 kilos of powder cocaine, guns, and other narcotics. LMPD says it appears to be part of a large-scale trafficking operation, and the investigation is ongoing. A Louisville man convicted of murdering 3 people, including 2 teenage brothers, will remain in prison after a unanimous Supreme Court ruling. Bryce Rhodes was convicted in 2023 and was given a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Yesterday, that ruling was upheld. He was charged with murder, tampering with physical evidence, and abuse of a corpse. In 2016, Rhodes shot and killed Christopher Jones. He later stabbed and killed teenage brothers Maurice Gordon and Larry Ordway, believing they would turn on him. He then set their bodies on fire before dumping them behind an abandoned house on River Park Drive. In his appeal, Rhodes presented multiple arguments, but the Supreme Court didn't find anything substantial and unanimously voted to uphold the sentence. The Kentucky Nurses Association is sharing its concerns about safety after Wednesday's shooting at a St. Matthew's hospital. The organization says it's the latest example of concerning trends of violence against hospital staff. Wave News reporter Meredith Lee shares how they're working to increase protections for those in the medical field.
So in my 35 years as a nurse, I never would have dreamed of a patient bringing a gun to work.
The Kentucky Nurses Association says they are concerned after Wednesday's shooting at Baptist Health Louisville in St. Matthews. Police say a patient, Mystic Rain, who was airlifted to the hospital and was a direct admit to the 6th floor, fired 4 shots from her hospital bed. She now faces charges and remains hospitalized. Though no one at the hospital was hurt, KNA calls it an extreme example of a dangerous and growing trend.
If we're going to stay in our workforce, we have to have a safe work environment, not just nurses, but all healthcare providers.
A recent nationwide survey found more than 80% of nurses experienced some type of workplace violence in the past year, ranging from verbal threats to physical attacks.
But I have been spit at, I have been kicked at, I have been punched in the stomach, I have been verbally abused, I have been called the N-word.
Dr. Nikki Wright with the KNA says the danger is pushing nurses out of the field, creating a shortage in care.
If we're harmed, we can't show up to do our job. We have to be safe. We have to feel safe.
The KNA is now working with state lawmakers on legislation to increase protections for nurses, saying when nurses are safe, patients are too.
The KNA tells us they've been working with State Representative Jason Nemes on the legislation for months now, and they are still working to finalize it. Governor Andy Beshear appeared on another national television channel, CNN, to talk about Kentucky and how President Trump's big, beautiful bill is affecting the rural areas of Kentucky.
His big, ugly bill is not only going to devastate rural health care, it's going to devastate rural economies. Right now, it's projected to close 35 rural hospitals in our home state of Kentucky. Each one of those is the #1 payroll in their community. So Donald Trump's approach to health care doesn't just mean you drive 2.5 hours to see a doctor. It means when the hospital closes, so does the restaurant, so does the coffee shop, so does the bank, and so does the insurance company.
President Trump has praised tax cuts in the big, beautiful bill and said the White House is negotiating with drug makers to lower health care costs. Governor Beshear was also asked about his political future.
Well, this year, you're going to see me being the best governor of Kentucky that I can be, continuing to bring in jobs. Our economy is still expanding while most states are contracting. You're going to see me out with the Democratic Governors Association, electing a lot of good Democratic governors in 26. And by the way, that changes the map for 28. And then sometime after I finish that job, which I'm going to give my all, I'll sit down with my family. In the end, to me, it's not about who the candidate is, though I do think they should be a Democratic governor, but can they heal this country? We've got to do more than just beat Trump. We've got to end this division. We've got to restore the American dream. We've got to bring hope back to the American people about a brighter future.
So rumors have swirled that Governor Beshear could make a run for the Oval Office. So far, he hasn't announced anything, though. Host Pamela Brown jokingly said all politicians who write books run for higher office. Now, Beshear did announce this week he is writing a book that's coming out on September 22nd. Meanwhile, Governor Beshear and Kentucky State Police are encouraging young Kentuckians interested in a career in law enforcement to apply for the State Police Youth Academy program. The week-long camp allows Kentucky's future officers the chance to work through forensic techniques through the crime lab and understand criminal investigations and crime scene analysis, along with other opportunities. The third annual Youth Academy program is free, and it's scheduled to take place from June 28th through July 2nd at Trooper Island Camp. Applications for the Youth Academy program are currently being accepted online for Kentuckians 16 and 17 years old. The deadline to apply is May 14th. Kentucky Supreme Court has made a ruling over an issue that's been brought up by lawmakers year after year. Charter schools. The state Supreme Court upheld a lower court's decision ruling that the state's charter school funding law is unconstitutional. The justices ruled that charter schools, as created under House Bill 9, fall outside of Kentucky's constitutionally protected common school system. That means that public tax dollars cannot be used to fund them without voter approval. Supporters of charter schools say it gives parents more of a choice in their child's education. Critics, though, argue funding charter schools would divert needed funds from existing public schools. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back talking about that exciting Olympic action that we saw yesterday, coming up in just 2 minutes. Well, the Olympics closing ceremony is happening on Sunday, so action's starting to wind down, but Team USA had such an impressive day yesterday, jumping up in the leaderboard for the medals. Now in second place. They jumped Italy.
Hey, we're doing something.
Yeah, right? I mean, Italy being the host country, of course, they want to get the most medals, but no, we've got to take over. And also, I would say that we have some high quality medals too. They have quite a few bronze, but with the golds and silvers that we have, we're taking that edge over them. But
Hey,
Norway's still leading the way.
And we
They're
still have some more games.
a few left, but we've got to talk about hockey because this was so exciting. This was a nail biter yesterday. 4 years ago, Canada beat Team USA in the gold medal match for women's hockey, but yesterday, Team USA going for revenge. And after 2 periods, it looked like history was going to repeat itself. The U.S. went into the third and final period down by a score of 1-0, but with 2 minutes left in the game, Team USA pulled their goalie. They added an extra skater to the ice, and that gives them a little bit more of a power advantage there. And it was a good decision, too, because Hillary Knight scored her 15th Olympic goal, the most in team history. So that set this game into overtime, a thriller, and the teams played 3-on-3. Megan Keller scored 4 minutes into overtime to give the U.S. that gold medal. They finished the game with a perfect undefeated record. They outscored their opponents 33-2. Let's hear from the team.
I think, the dramatic fashion of that game is definitely exciting. And, just really looking forward to enjoying this tonight with my teammates.
This team's so special. We had one thing in mind, and that was gold. The belief that our coaches instilled in us from the first period to the third period to overtime, it never went away. And we have leaders who show that on and off the ice. It's powerful, and it spreads between the team really fast.
Yeah, and the men also have the chance to go for gold too. So such an exciting game there. I mean, the fact that they did it all so late in the game.
Yes, and we're talking about gold medals, and that wasn't the only one the U.S. won yesterday. The second came in the women's figure skating. Team USA entered Tuesday's program with dreams of a podium suite behind the Blade Angels, Alyssa Liu, Isabeau Levito, and Amber Glenn. Though going into the final, Liu was the only one with a real shot of making the podium. History was not on her side, as the last American woman to medal at the Olympics was Sasha Cohen in 2006 when she won silver.
And apparently Isabeau Levito is Italian. They said her grandma lives only a few minutes away from the rink. So that was a cool opportunity there. But speaking of hometowns, I want to show you the rink in California where Liu trains as people gather. This is in Oakland at the Ice Center to watch her. You can see they're really locked in here. The reigning world champion dazzled in the free skate, outscoring a career best 226.79 overall. And the crowd, wow, they're locked in here. But you should see their excitement when her score came in. Only 2 skaters left in the competition. So, yeah, they are very excited. Of course, they had to wait for those last 2 to see if she would hold on to the #1 spot. And she did. She claimed the gold medal, marking Team USA's first Olympic title in women's figure skating in 24 years.
I mean, I'm just so happy with my performance tonight. It was everything I wanted it to be. And I'm glad that I was hyped, the crowd was hyped, and I just remembered to breathe through it. I mean, I hope that I'm inspiring the kids to be more out there and make decisions that some people won't agree with, because that's how you have to be sometimes.
I mean, she is just so cool. How else can you pull off a hairstyle like that? And she does it so well. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of kids who are like, I want that hairstyle now.
Oh, absolutely. And you got to think they're looking up to all of these athletes. And Amber Glenn, she delivered a strong performance to finish 5th overall, while Isabeau Levito finished 12th in the final standings.
Yeah, Amber Glenn was disappointed in her initial skate, but I mean, in the finals, she really delivered there. Let's hear from those 2 skaters.
I feel like I will grow. I always feel like I grow from competitions. And this has been a great experience.
I hope people can learn a lot from her and all 3 of us really as different examples, different stories. And I hope that we can really change the sport.
Okay, so we, of course, have to go back to this because it is just iconic, Alyssa's hair. So we know the top layer, it starts with a brown layer, transitions to blonde, and goes back and forth. It's striped. And when she was asked about the inspiration behind the style, she says she adds a new ring for each year, similar to how trees add rings to their trunks every year. So there's actually a meaning behind it, yeah? And she's actually been rocking this hairstyle for 3 years, since 2023. At first, she tried to create the look herself, but that would be really hard to do. She said she then went to a professional. But a little background on her, because this is such an inspiring story. She competed in the Beijing Winter Olympics and then announced her retirement from skating in 2022 at the age of 16.
I wish I could retire at 16.
I know, right? But I mean, she said she had a lot of concerns with being told what to wear, how much weight she needed to lose, and the music that she was going to skate to. And she was just essentially burnt out. But when she decided 2 years ago she wanted to make a comeback, she said she wanted to do it on her own terms, and that included in her own style. And I think she proved right there, you can be an individual out there on the ice, and she just rocked it.
Absolutely. And I know whenever I am watching the skaters, I love their costumes because they just add to the performance. And so when we start to look at what they're wearing, there is a talent beyond that. And so we have Lisa McKinnon, who designed Olympic looks for U.S. skaters like Alyssa, Amber, Isabeau. There's just so many. And she was a competitive skater herself and just was 12 when she started designing the costumes. She says her experience gives her an idea on how a look will feel, and she collaborates with skaters and choreographers and even more.
Where my expertise comes in hand too, where it's like, okay, but we also need to put it together. It needs to work. It needs to be skatable, and all these things.
In addition to the skater's vision, there are also rules. The International Skating Union says clothing must be modest and decorations firm, because of course you don't want any accidents and wardrobe malfunctions on the ice.
Yeah, that could be risky out there, but I'm sure being a former skater also helped her put those together. She knows how they move and what's comfortable. And when you look good, you play good, you feel good.
And you do
that's,
good.
Yeah, that's how it all works out there. But the last medal of the day came from a man that's been no stranger to the podium in Italy. We're talking about American speed skater Jordan Stolz. He came just short of another Olympic gold yesterday in the men's 1,500 meter race. Stolz was initially favored to win the race, but ultimately came up about 1 second too slow with a final time of 1 minute, 42.75 seconds. Had to settle for the silver medal there, claiming his third medal of the Olympic Games. Stolz won the gold in the men's 1,000 meter and 500 meter speed skating events, and he even set an Olympic record in both of those races. Let's hear from him after the silver medal performance.
I think 2 gold medals in itself is already a huge accomplishment. And silver's not bad, and to be able to have 3 medals, that's super cool. The pressure with expecting 4 gold medals, that's not something I was thinking about too much. I was just focusing on my races and what I could do and what I can control. And today Ning had the better race, and he was super good, and I couldn't beat him. He was really good.
And he has a great point there. 2 gold medals, still an incredible accomplishment, and then a silver to add on to it. Hey, he's just adding to his color palette.
Yeah, just adding to the decorations.
Gold and silver, yeah.
And the big one. Today, an Indiana man will be going for Olympic glory. Nick Gepper from Lawrenceburg, Indiana, is competing today in the free ski half pipe. Gepper is looking for his first gold medal today. Gepper previously won a bronze medal at the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi and silver medals at the 2018 and 2022 Winter Olympics. You can watch Gepper's performance right here on Wave.
Yeah, so exciting. I mean, to see a guy from Indiana who's on the international stage like that. You just have to think of all the kids who are inspired by this. I mean, hey, maybe they're going to go dye their hair. Maybe they're going to throw on a glitzy outfit. Maybe they're going to hop on skis and make it happen.
Absolutely. And remember when I did try ice skating, it was hard, but those little girls, they inspired me to try to go back.
And they're brave too. I mean, to hop on skates, and the fact that Alyssa Liu won when she was only 16 years old tells you just how good these kids are. I mean, only getting better too.
Absolutely. Work ethic out of this world.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Marissa. I keep saying we've got to get her to watch more Olympics. It has me glued to my TV, and Marissa's just kind of like, if it's on TV, she'll watch it. But yeah, again, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back with Shannon's interview talking about American Heart Month and the Heart Ball. Stick with us. Well, February is American Heart Month, and we're gearing up for the annual Heart Ball on February 28th. Wave News anchor Shannon Kogan spoke with a man who knows just how important heart health is.
Hi there. February is Heart Month. And did you know that if someone has a cardiac arrest outside of the hospital, their chance of survival is just 10%? Joining me right now is someone among that 10% number. This is Chris Smith, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You are just a walking miracle, truly. I mean, when you tell me the story, and this just happened in June, what happened?
Yes. So on June 25th, it was just a normal day. I went to work, and it was a Wednesday. And on Wednesday nights, we meet at the owner of Weir Constructor's house. He has us all over. His wife cooks us dinner. There's about 10 of us that play in a golf league at Eagle Creek Golf Course. And so we had a typical day, a couple of cocktails and some fellowship, and went out and played 9 holes of golf. When I leave the golf course, my best friend used to live in PRP, and I live in Fern Creek. And so we would always drive home talking to each other on the phone, because you didn't always, it's a random draw of who you play with.
Okay.
Well, he had since moved to LaGrange, and even though he was 5 minutes from the golf course, he would stay on the phone with me, and we would talk all the way home. And I just told him typically, hey man, I'm home, I'm in the driveway, oh, it's trash night. And I walked down the driveway to get the trash can, and I collapsed and suffered cardiac arrest. Now, all of this is relayed back to me because I don't remember anything that week.
But then who saw you, and how did they get to you?
So my daughter, after I woke up, had said, Dad, look at all the little miracles that had to happen in order for the big miracle. I played golf in LaGrange. If that happened there, I'm dead. Driving home, if it happened in my truck.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I have a 4-wheel drive truck. If I had fallen on the side, no one would have saw me. God put me down that driveway where a young man who was a nursing student that night had come home and didn't want to go pick up a prescription. And his mom told him, you need to go to the store.
And he saw you.
And he driving down the street, saw me, and jumped out of the car. He did a sternum rub. He knew immediately that something was wrong, and he called his mother. His mom works 2 jobs. That was her night off.
Oh my goodness.
She's a former ER nurse. She immediately ran across the street. I've lived there across from them for 7 years. They're in a cul-de-sac to the right of me. Even as funny as this, when he went to leave Walgreens, he normally turns left. Bardstown Road was backed up, so he turned right.
Wow.
If he turns left, he doesn't drive in front of my house. She ran across, immediately started CPR. I met her after when I got home, and she told me she felt my last pulse that night. So she continued working on me. My neighbors had come out. My son had come out at the same time. The young man was seeing that something was wrong. My son was calling 911, and we live 2 blocks from Fern Creek Fire Department. So as a crowd starts forming around me, my neighbors are coming out the house, and this is almost 10 o'clock at night. Another young lady is walking her dog, sees the crowd. She immediately runs, and she is a nurse at Baptist East on Kresge, and she talks to Laura, we had a lot of fun with my memory about nurse number 1, nurse number 2.
Right.
It's Laura and Lee. Lee is nurse number 2. She runs over. She says, let me take over. That's what they're trained to do.
Right. So they took turns doing the chest compressions, hands-only CPR.
Well, Laura turned to her and said, no pulse. So Laura didn't stop, and Lee went and started checking my femoral legs, and I would vomit and they would clear it, and Laura, by sheer will, kept me alive till the ambulance came.
Oh my goodness. And then you were in the hospital. We actually have a picture of you in the hospital. I'm sure that this picture is so hard for you to look at. And you said that the doctors told your son, who is right there in this picture, this is you going home.
That's
this must
leaving
be the happiest day, I'm sure. And here you are greeting some of your coworkers who are like family members for you. But you said that doctors said in the hospital that your chance of survival was just 2%.
2%, yeah. So on the 5th day, which ironically enough was June 30th, it was my mother's birthday. And I used to go home to Rhode Island always between June 30th and July 4th, July 4th being my grandmother's birthday. And I love the 4th of July because of my grandmother. All my golf gear is red, white, and blue. And that day on June 30th, they told my son that I had a 2% chance of survival and a 0% chance that he would ever talk to me again. Their best outcome was to get me off the fentanyl and Propanol to move me to a nursing home.
Oh my goodness. But you pulled through. How long were you in the hospital again?
I was in a coma for 8 days. After I woke, I had to have a defibrillator installed, and I left the hospital. I returned to work August 15th. I think it was the middle of July, and I had to spend 5 days in a rehab. But the first day at the rehab hospital, I mean, there are miracles. It's unbelievable. I literally walked in with my luggage to the rehab hospital, and the lady said, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here for rehab." She said, "No, our patients come in on gurneys." And the first day they ran tests and said, "We're going to keep you here for 3-4 days, but you could probably go home tonight."
Oh my goodness. I mean, you are a miracle, and your 2 children who you sent us a beautiful picture of.
Not sure why that interview just decided to stop in the middle of it, but still such an inspiring story there. Well, that's all the time we have here for Sunrise Extra. I hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.